And we should be live. On for the love of jerky. Jacko, are you still here? And there's 406 Minor. 406, I gotta figure out how I can send you the StreamYard link. And Jacko's still here. But like I said, on this channel, anything goes. I don't give a fuck. Just saying. We can smoke, we can drink, we can talk politics, we can talk religion. Anything goes on this channel. So I gotta get my head right. And maybe I'll stay up long enough that Jacko can join us after he drops off the little ones at the pool. But I gotta figure out how to, I guess I can copy StreamYard link, go over here, hopefully go to my live video, and drop the link in chat. I think it worked. Mad Stacker! The maddest Mad Hatter on Saturday. I don't want to see it, 406. No, hey, 406, let me add you as just a standard moderator for now, because the link didn't show up. But I don't want to see that link. Got some clementine crossed with something lemon haze. That stupid heart feature that they put in the chat really screws me up. Oh, I can see it better on here. Sour? Oh, sour lemon haze. Clementine crossed with, oh, super. It's just, oh, sorry, some stuff my neighbor grew. That's a great thing about living in Colorado, or probably any state that's got legalized marijuana. Is like, I get people giving me bags full of their pot. It's like, oh, I grew this year. Hey, why don't you try this? And they give you like almost an ounce. They're like, hey, try this. It's like, okay. So I got like bags and bags of weed laying around right now that it's like, oh, I'm tired of smoking on this. I'll break out some of this and smoke on it for a while. And like a neighbor of mine that grows his own, he got tired of trimming. So like the lower parts of the plants, the stuff that's really not that great. I mean, there's still some smokable buds, but most of it's, you know, for more for like making hash or making butter. But he gave me like the lower ends of like 5 plants. He's like, hey, I'm tired of trimming this crap. Just take these. Exactly, Dutchy. It's little popcorn buds. Some of them are decent, but yeah, it's like they give it to me. It's like, here, try, have this. You want to deal with it? Deal with it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll take it. That's free smoke. I'll take it all day long. 406. I still don't see it popped up. Hello, Mrs. Scratch and Go Crazy. Hey, Jacko, you want to be blue? I'll make you blue. Did you guys not see where I put in the StreamYard link? If one of y'all want to come up, I would much appreciate it. Better than talking to myself. I mean, I'm used to playing with myself. I just usually don't talk to myself. So it's kind of weird. Oh, there it showed up, 406. I don't know. I might. Ah, fuck. Shit. Let me see if I can open the link in a new tab. That stupid fucking hurt thing. Open link in a. Okay, there I got it. But now I gotta pause it. And I'm not saying I will watch it later, because I don't know that I want to see that. Making sandwiches? Yep. Gotta take care of them babies, Jacko. That's what's important. I hope your school systems aren't as bad as they are here in the US. Holy shit. The indoctrination and crap that they're shoving down these kids' throats here in America is disgusting. Well, I'm glad it's not that bad where you're at. But yeah, here in the States, it's getting fucking out of control. I mean, in a way, I can't really say that I'm glad I don't have kids, because I've wanted kids since I was like 13. And even at that age, the school systems were out of control. And I was saying, if I ever have kids, there's no way they're going to public school. They will be homeschooled no matter what. I don't give a fuck. I will not have a kid in public school. And before, I had the opinion that up to like fourth, fifth grade was a good idea to have kids involved in public schools. But now, hell no, it's not even safe for them to be in preschool. Yeah, 406, you better be worried about them grandbabies. And yeah, Mrs. Scratch and Go Crazy, exactly. They are erasing history, or rewriting it, actually. That's more of what they're doing right now, is they're rewriting history. They're pushing a false history, and it's disgusting. Well, Mrs. Scratch and Go Crazy, you got to think 20 years ago, it was safe to have kids in pre-K up to maybe third grade. That was safe enough. And my reasoning to, if I had kids in homeschool, why I would want them in that pre-K to possibly third grade in a public school setting, well, not now, but 20 years ago, was just to get that social interaction, and that would be it. As far as the teachings and whatnot, that's completely different. And that's why nowadays you can't even have that. So it's that's going to be very difficult for people because you've got to, you know, introduce your child to social interaction and have them be able to, you know, understand how to involve themselves with conversations, interact with people on, you know, a social standing. But everything else that goes with public schooling is fucked. Yeah, Jacko, if you can set down a good enough base at home, and usually that is going to wind up being Christian based. As many people won't like that, but honestly, any religion, if if you are a religious group, for the most part, any religion, they've got good base values. And if you raise your children up with a good base value system and it's strong enough and it's reinforced enough and they can see it, then yes, they can withstand any storm that hits them. What, even public school, even the indoctrination. If they've got a good enough basis at home, they're going to stand up to it and they're going to withstand it. And you being, you know, a good enough parent to get them that basis and raise them right, that is awesome. And, you know, they're going to be some of the greatest people in the next generation because of that, because there's so few in their generation that actually have that. So that is amazing. Jacko, you're already doing it right, brother. You know, I'm guessing, Jacko, you've got a wife. So it's a two-parent household to begin with. That is extremely important. You've got both dynamics, the male and the female. The children can see both genders and their responsibilities in a relationship. You know, and it doesn't matter if, you know, if let's say mom is the breadwinner and bringing in the money and it's a stay-at-home dad, or you've got the opposite, you've got a dad that's a breadwinner and a stay-at-home mom. You still see a family dynamic. There's somebody that's going to be supporting the family, somebody that's raising the family. That's the two dynamics, and it sounds like you've got it locked down. You know, you're up early, you're getting the girls up, you're getting them breakfast, you're getting lunches made for schooling. Yeah, I got to do that for my nieces and nephews when my sister was a single mom, and I was, you know, late teen, early 20s. I was out of school, wasn't doing anything, and so I lived with my sister and was basically a stay-at-home dad, but for my nieces and nephews. And yeah, that is absolutely fucking amazing. You know, being that stay and that, oh my god, that is so much fun, Jacko. Being a stay-at-home dad is like the best thing in the world. I mean, that is amazing. And nobody that has never experienced that, you know, I can't fully experience it, I guess, because technically they weren't my babies, but yeah, being a stay-at-home dad is fucking incredible. It's so much fun. Oh, it's amazing. You know, and I always, you know, now I'm a bachelor, my house is a mess, but when I was a stay-at-home dad like that, or uncle, hell, that house was spotless, and there was always food on the table, hot and ready, that was delicious. 406, that I've always wanted to play with stuff like that, but I've never played with a welder that much. I've got a stick welder, I've got a wire feed welder, and I never use them. I don't properly know how to use them. I've got them. And out in Tennessee, when I ever go and get my blazer and some other stuff, I've got a torch set out there as well. Still don't really know how to use it, but I've got it. Yeah, Jacko, babies are so much fun. The more adult kids, they're still fun for the most part. There's some issues there, but yeah, it's so much fun being a stay-at-home dad. That's and you can see why women get so much pleasure out of having kids because they're worth it. It makes me think of that old joke about how getting kicked in the balls is worse than. How do you know? You've never given birth. And it's like, yeah, well, I've seen plenty of women give birth and then say that they want another kid. I've seen plenty of guys get kicked in the nuts, but I've never seen any of them say, hey, you know what? I want to get kicked in the nuts again. Just doesn't happen. Hey, what happened to my camera? Oh, there it's back. It lagged on me. My computer lagged. Hey, if anybody wants to come up and hang out, I'd be more than happy for you to join me so I don't have to sit here and talk to myself and try to read chat. Damn, I think I need to go get me a beer. Yeah, I'll be right back. I knocked it over, now I gotta get a different one. Luckily, I hadn't opened it yet. I just didn't want a fuzzy one. Yeah. Oh, and I don't know. I don't think I told y'all, but I got some roadkill in my fridge. Mmm. Goody. My boss's daughter tagged a deer with her car, and we got a possession permit for it, so we were able to salvage it. Just just the one hind quarter and some of the ribs. It was a mule deer, Mrs. Scratch and Go Crazy. A little 4-point or 4-corn. And yeah, she tagged it, and it hit one of the hips and the rib cage and pretty much killed it instantly. And it busted the back. Yeah, it's venison, but it's so yummy. I mean, I haven't eaten that much of it yet. We butchered it because it was funny. We were actually, or I was on the job site working, and my boss was late, and that wound up being why. But after he was there for a little bit, and me and like the homeowner were like, oh, well, where is it? Let's go get it. It's like, that's fresh meat. It's cool out. It's not, if we get it quick enough, it's not going to bloat or anything like that. And so we convinced my boss to drive by and find the crash scene, and he looked at it and was like, he agreed that it was still in good enough condition. So he picked it up, contacted the Department of Wildlife, and he brought it to the job site. And I ran off to my house and picked up a couple of knives and came back, and he had already started butchering it, but we finished gutting it, skinning it, you know, opening up like the front shoulders and everything, where you cut the membrane so you can open up the body cavities, splitting the pelvis, all that to let it cool off. And he took it into the Department of Wildlife. They gave us a possession permit tag for it, and he brought it back, and we took it to my house and quartered it out, and I threw it all in the bathtub because I didn't have anything, I couldn't hang it or anything like that. And so I threw it in the bathtub and butchered it up from there. Took like a quarter and brought it into the kitchen and cleaned it up. I had to strap it out in the bathtub. I don't like any meat to go to waste, so I even take a neck roast. So I had to bone out the neck in the bathtub, and yeah, it was kind of a pain in the butt, but I salvaged everything except for a segment of one side of the ribs and that hind quarter that got hit. I did try to salvage it. I've had it soaking in water for, a couple of days and changing out the water. But today I started taking out the busted bone and trying to butcher it down, and there was a little bit of a smell that was slightly off. So when it got hit, that gut cavity got busted, and because of the massive compound fracture of that hind quarter, some of that got into the meat, and that instantly taints the meat. So even soaking it, I can still smell it a little bit. So I'm just gonna take that whole hind quarter, and you know it's gonna be dog food either for the people we were working for or my neighbor or somebody. I'm not gonna throw it away, but it's not edible for humans. At Mrs. Scratch and Go Crazy, there's a certain amount of gaminess, but not bad. It depends on the animal and the location. Like here, I've heard horror stories my whole life about mule deer compared to whitetail, and from my dad. And I ate this mule deer's heart, was the first thing I ate, and absolutely fabulous. Didn't it? No different than a whitetail heart. Um, then I cooked up the ribs. I had my neighbor over helping with butchering it, and I cooked up some ribs. They were good ribs. There was a couple of spots on the ribs that had like a really gamey flavor, so I'm not sure if that was maybe a small bloodshot spot or something. But overall, the ribs were just fine. And that's the thing. Most people won't eat ribs off of a deer. I do. Like I said, I even bone out the neck roast. Like I'll take it all the way up to the base of the skull. I don't leave meat for on the bones for scavengers and whatnot. I try to take everything. And unfortunately, I think there is some of that hind quarter that could be saved, but I honestly don't have the freezer space for it, so I'm just gonna make it as dog food. 406 minor, I've never had raccoon. I know I've heard it's like greasy, like a bear, but I don't know. I've never eaten raccoon. I might eat a raccoon. I have had mountain lion and bobcat, but the thing was, Todd Mishnick. He's actually a pretty well known person down in Texas. Well, maybe nationwide, but uh, yeah, he's a professional trapper. The mountain lion and bobcat, you like soak that in buttermilk or ranch dressing or something, at least for, overnight, or preferably more like 12 to 24 hours. And that, because a carnivore, there's a certain there's a certain flavor, a certain weirdness to the meat. So you really want to soak that out of it. And I've had bobcat and mountain lion that was soaked in like buttermilk or ranch dressing and then breaded and fried, and that's actually pretty good eating. Cat cat's pretty good eating. But I don't know about a raccoon. And I would never eat a possum. I witnessed with my brother a possum eating its way out the asshole of a dead cow. No, possum is not on the menu. Oh, 406 minor, this mountain lion was cut up into like little cubes, like 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch cubes, and then soaked in like that buttermilk or ranch dressing to get all that shit out. And since it was cut properly, because I mean, dude knew what the fuck he was doing, it was actually pretty good. And squirrels are delicious, rabbits are delicious, all that shit's delicious. But a raccoon, I'd probably eat one. At least I'd try it. You know, I'd really like to try a bear. I'd love to get a black bear, primarily because I want to make me a fur coat out of a black bear hide. But I would still eat the meat as well, and I would preserve the skull and probably have it in my display case with all my ivory. But yeah, I don't have a problem picking up a deer that's roadkill. I mean, it got hit by a car. I think most people think of roadkill and they think of, like you guys have said, like a dead raccoon or a dead possum or a dead skunk or some shit that's been run over by a dozen vehicles. It's like, no. Roadkill I'm talking about is where somebody was driving down the road and a stupid ass deer jumped out in front of them or just stepped out in front of them and they maybe clipped it. And I've got one that was just ahead. Not a single bit of meat was wrong on that deer. The head got hit on a little doe. Every piece of meat was perfectly fine, even the neck roast. It was like an instant kill. And the temperature, it was so cold out. Yeah. So, yeah, a deer that gets hit by a car, there's always going to be, as a rule, some meat that's not any good. It's going to be bloodshot, basically deep tissue bruise. So it's going to be extremely bloodshot. And so it's like, well, that part of the deer, you're just not going to be able to salvage, but you might as well salvage everything else. Yeah, 406 minor. I think it's only one species of armadillo that carries leprosy. I'm not sure. I know some armadillos carry it. I don't know if all of them do. So I don't know if the ones that we commonly see here are leprosy carriers or not. But yeah, I try not to take any chances with armadillos. And they fucking tear the shit out of your yard. All them fucking holes they dig. Oh, and them little bouncing bastards. Yeah, no. When I see armadillos, I kill them. I try to leave the possums alone. You know, that's our only marsupial we have left. And they do make kind of cool pets. I'm not saying that they can't carry diseases, but yeah, Mrs. Scratch and Go Crazy. Yeah, deer's good meat. And like I said, I got the front shoulders, the neck roast, I got the back straps, I got the inner tenderloins, I got one rear quarter, and probably 3/4 of the ribs. Because yeah, I saved the ribs off a deer, and I'd barbecue them up just like I would pork ribs. So there was still a pretty good amount of meat on that deer. You know, it's just that one rear hind quarter that I wasn't able to salvage. And I'm sure there's stuff that's salvageable on it. It just I really don't have the freezer space, so since it's questionable, I'll just make it for dogs. And there's still nobody wants to come up and hang out and chat. Come on. Is that StreamYard link not working? Do I need to put my teeth in to make you guys show up? Well, it's not an exotic meat. That's a native meat. Ah, come on, you guys. Nobody wants to join me? Ah. It says there's 6 people watching. Is there 6 people? I see 406 and Mrs. Scratch and Go Crazy. Jacko's probably in the background somewhere. All right, night 406. Yeah, I texted my boss earlier, but he never responded, so I don't know what's coming up. But have a good night, bud. Maybe Mrs. Scratch and Go Crazy will click that StreamYard link. Huh. Yeah, thanks, 406. Well, I guess if nobody else wants to come up and chat, or even chat in chat, not 406, I guess there's not much reason for me to stay on live. I was kind of hoping somebody wanted to come hang out and chat, would come up on. Excuse me. Hmm. Well, hell. I guess I'll call it a night. Good night, everybody.